Hey guys, it is the Carmenator, and I'm here for a special live stream with some of my friends, and I'm going to bring them in right now. We've got Tarik. You guys know
Hi.
Tarik. Hey. We've got Josh, who's going to be on for a one-on-one this week. I was supposed to get up this week, but we'll get up this coming week. And here is Hasitha from India. Hey, Hasitha.
Hi.
Am I pronouncing your name right? I just realized that.
No, it's correct. You're pronouncing it right.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to introduce everybody here and also let you guys know that we're going to be doing a part 2 with some other guests that we had to schedule everybody all in different time zones. It's hard to get everybody on at the same time. For Hasitha, it's even 10 p.m. already. So everybody's in a different time zone. So I hope you guys join us for part 2. We're going to have some other guests on too, which will be cool. And also a lot of one-on-ones with everybody on here, starting with Josh this coming week. So I just wanted to start off with, how about you guys introduce yourselves first? Tarik, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks everybody who's been watching this series. Talking with Tarik on Emily's show, iLLest Entertainers, and I'm really excited about this one because last episode we were talking about more of a positive term that could be said for a culture like counterculture, where counterculture is important for those that are hurting others to be sort of disciplined, so to speak. But people also should be elevated if they're doing positive things. So I don't think there's a term for that. So that kind of Emily thought about inviting everybody on the show, and so I'm excited about talking about that topic, and maybe you can figure out a name for that topic. That'd be really cool,
Yeah, I was going to show a screenshot of when we did that last time. So this was the episode that we did. So that was a few weeks ago. So in case anyone wants to check it out, that's what it looks like. Okay. Josh, you want to go next about?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Joshua R. Pangborn. I am the founder of Sidekick Productions, which is a LGBT and body positive production company in New York City. And I've known Emily for a very long time now, but we won't say how long because that will make me sound very old, and we don't want that. But it's a real pleasure to be here with Emily and everyone today because I really, really enjoy talking with Emily because she's a fascinating, wonderful person and very talented artist. And I really appreciate that she has me here today because I do think that it's important to talk about how we can spread positive ideas and spread bring these sort of things into our art and into our world, basically. So
yeah, definitely. Hasitha, do you want to?
Exactly right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Hasitha, go ahead, and let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
No, you're pronouncing it correct only.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
Yeah. My name is Hasitha, and so I recently finished my college, and now I'm working towards inclusion for our disability community because in India, the people's perception about people with disability is not nice. So
Oh.
I'm working on that. And while I'm doing that, I started a blog and a YouTube just to spread awareness. And I've given a few speeches as well.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
I just want to, bring a change for my community in India at least. I don't know about other countries, but let's start small, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, let me show the article that Hasitha is in. So here it is. This is awesome.
Thank
then
you.
also here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Sounds like it was really incredible too. I watched it. Yeah, her channel is great. You guys should check it out. Actually, I'm going to put on the bottom one of the banners for your... I have one for you here. So if anybody wants to check it out, I'm going to put that for a second on the bottom. And then I guess let's get into like a little bit about how you guys ended up getting onto this influencer path with your work. I know each of us started and were influenced in a different way. For example, with me, I started this channel from like half my life from like 20 onwards, realizing that I could help others through my experiences. And that's kind of what led me to eventually coming up with originally a podcast. And then when all of this stuff happened with pandemic, I realized, you know what, let's do some video stuff too and live streams. So that way people are home, they can feel more together. And me and Tarik started talking to Tarik because we realized that we could help people to understand better what those of us with disabilities go through and how we're isolated sometimes a lot more than most. So we figured, why not start something like that? Yeah. So I guess let's just each of us kind of go into what inspired us to do what we do. So Tarik, I guess if you'd like to start with that, like how did you get into? You do a lot, so you've done a lot of different things.
I don't want to bogart it. I just like lightly talk about it, and then I want to hear about everybody else. Like, but sort of like what Hasitha was saying about, like, there in some places there seems to be like a misconception about or sort of persona about what being disabled is, and a lot of things. I fall in several categories. Like, I'm disabled. I'm also gothic. There's a stigma. A lot of people that if you're a male and you have eyeliner like me, and you have, like, makeup, all that stuff, then it's like, oh, you must be this, you must be that. It's like, well,
Right.
I mean, look at David Bowie, look at Prince, look at these like beautiful representation of artistic expressions and stuff, and they didn't care what you called them. That was just them. And so I try to find ways to break that mode, so to speak, of what being a man is. And I consider myself, like, I mean, what is that? I'm like, I don't care what you call me. You can call me anything, as long as you call me Tarik. As long as my name is in there somewhere, that I'm that. Because people call me different things, but I think in a way it's sort of beautiful, because I do see everyone is connected. There's a little bit of someone in everyone. So I think my art, whether it's visual arts or fashion or modeling, or an event I'm trying to promote, because I try to promote a lot of charities and causes, because I feel overall that social media gives us a platform to talk about issues that are really relevant to us. And at one point, long story short, I used to work at a call center, and it was good money. Like, a long time ago, it was really good money, and it helped me sort of start myself. But then I knew that it was a short-term thing emotionally, because it was just like, it was like a heart attack waiting to happen. It was like I was losing myself, because it was corporate elements are important and certain infrastructures to a degree, but you can't have that be everything, And so I wasn't passionate about the product. I wasn't passionate about the scenario, and it was a cutthroat environment. It didn't promote emotional wellness. And so when I started getting into Whole Foods and some of their charities that they were working at, I used to work with them for a while. And then, long story short, I was already doing charity work, but I realized that if I can just mesh everything together, like, there'll be no, like, pause in between, or no distance in between, like, what my livelihood or what emotionally makes me feel better. I want to make my career what I love. And so my health made that like a must-have, because my former disability, myasthenia gravis, does not allow any emotional stress because if I do, then I'll regress and have, like, what's called a myasthenia crisis, and I could, it's life-threatening. So I can't have anything too stressful. So everything I do has to be something that I care about. It can't be something that goes against my health.
Yeah, that's important. Okay. I was going to show the article in like a second. This is an article you did a few years ago. If anybody interested, we've mentioned it in our other stuff, but yeah, because you also were a dancer too and all that. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I just wanted to, do that. I guess, so Josh, do you want to get into how because you've done a lot of stuff too. Like, how did you get into all of your work?
Sure. I mean, I always knew I wanted to work in the arts. That's something that I always dreamed about doing. And then I went the route where I was like, you have again, I will date myself. I was very much a fan of Felicity when it was on the air, and that. So I was always very excited very excited by season 2 of Felicity, because that's where she's like, I'm going to study art and medicine, and I don't have to choose which one. I will do both. Maybe someday I'll have to choose, but I'll never have to choose today. And so that was sort of my way of life for a very long time. I was like, I'm going to do something that's responsible. and
Responsible,
and
yeah, it's like
and
mutant marine biology, yeah.
but I will also do something artistic, and I don't have to decide which path I'm going to pursue, but I will pursue both of them for now. So
Yeah.
so that and I sort of still am doing that, but I really my heart's in one, and my heart's not in the other, and that's sort of I mean that's what we call them survival jobs for. You have to survive, so
Hmm.
you have to have a job that pays you enough. But eventually, what happened in 2010 was I started my after several years of doing theater in the city, mostly writing. Uh, I decided to start Sidekick Productions, and I knew that I wanted to tell stories that were about people who looked different from mainstream Hollywood, specifically related to body size and body type and everything. So
Mhm.
I wanted to work with that idea and work with because you always have the funny fat guy or the funny fat girl who's the sidekick of the
Yes.
lead. So while I'm also a fan of comic books and everything, so Sidekick Productions became stories about the people who were sidekicks who were actually going to be leads and everything. And being that I am also gay, I'm just very drawn to LGBT stories. So I try to tell those as much as possible in the work that I do. So and then that just sort of blossomed when 2015 when I started my web series Skeleton Crew, and that has really taken off. It's become an internationally award-winning series. We started another series last year called Demon
Congratulations.
Doctor, and now we have a third series coming out that is written by one of my main collaborators, Ashley Mooney Kennard, and that is going to be The Art of Blowing It. So
Oh, right.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
we're
shoot.
really
I
excited.
totally missed that. Yeah.
We have
This is
sort of like
another
this little
show.
yeah, this sort of like a little media empire which is building, and it's if I could be the Ryan Murphy of web series, then I will do that. So
Yeah. This is just from
That's
Josh, the image of when he's going to be on the show, but it shows the logos for everything. So Skeleton Crew, Demon Doctors, that, and then this is a picture from Demon Doctors that I have. And
wow.
then
That's
the
cool.
other show that Ash is doing, which isn't
Yeah.
with your production company, but it's called, I can never pronounce the dog's name right. It's Chaka and the
Shaka and the
dog.
Dogs, yeah,
Yeah, so, so Josh plays the cute husky, and it's like the voice. It's hysterical. And then,
it's a really great show,
yeah, it's so cute.
and
And then,
that's by some wonderful creators named Jose and Ibai. They are just brilliant, and incredibly talented filmmakers. They do great with horror and everything, but this is their first venture. I think it's something more wholesome, which is a lovely series about dogs with two gay fathers, and it's their production company is called Oblivion Films. So
Oh, I
I
like
also
that name.
played,
Wow.
it's a
yeah,
great
and
Yeah.
name. And
that's cool. Joshua is also the I put down on the bottom for his YouTube channel to watch all of their episodes. It's a great show. Skeleton Crew and Demon Doctor and stuff can all be found on that. So I just wanted to include that in
if
the
you're in
bottom.
quarantine, you've got about 40 hours of television there. So
Yep. Yep. I watched it. I love it. It's fantastic. Hasitha, sorry, go ahead. So what got you on the path for doing all the advocacy and stuff that you do?
Yeah, so basically, like my basically when I was small, I was diagnosed with a disease. So that kind of was like I had a tragic childhood kind of thing. So like as I got older, I started to realize like started shaping myself into a stronger human being, and that's what
Mm.
uh, made me realize that I wanted to help other people who are facing the same problems as I am and stuff like that. And plus, the society doesn't help us at all, like with their perceptions, with their stereotypes, with all the things that they have.
Yeah.
It becomes difficult for people like us to survive in a society like that. So, like, I decided that I wanted to, involve in this advocacy and all that. And I started my YouTube and
Yeah.
blog and all.
Yeah.
So,
That's
actually,
good.
before this, like, I'm actually keen on my studies. Like Josh said,
Mhm.
I like medicine also. So, like, I'm a biotechnologist.
That's
So
awesome.
I wanted to do my master's furtherly, but then because of quarantine and all, it got stopped,
Yeah,
and
quarantine.
now admissions and all are cancelled. But I found a artistic outlet. I didn't know
Yeah.
I was so creative and all these things. So like, I think quarantine is a good thing.
Yeah,
It
you
was a
have
good
some great
thing.
videos. Like, I was just watching them, more of them, and you released one yesterday too, a part two, right?
Yeah,
About
yeah.
it meant
Men and stereotypes.
yeah, it's really good. You guys should check it out. So on the bottom I put her stuff. So my other question for you guys is like what, like for positive influence and things like this, like was there anybody in your life growing up or anybody like or even just like celebrities and stuff that you looked up to? Like I know for me when I got sick, I really was inspired by people like Freddie Mercury because he's a musician and he was in music videos and stuff up until the very end of his
Yeah.
life, and I thought that that was really, you know, powerful and something that I've always wanted to do. And back, I don't know if anybody knows this, but back years ago, I was really, really sick, and people are telling me
Mhm.
like I'd be lucky if I could just go to the grocery store. For me, a good day was if I could take a shower, eat a meal, and go to the grocery store. That was an amazing day. That was like very rare. So for me to go from that to this is amazing. And I think a lot of times having people to look
Yeah.
up to helps. And that's also another reason why I started doing this stuff and all of us, which I think is amazing because now other generations can look up to us. So I guess like any of you guys have anybody that, was an important influence on you that helped lead you to where you are
Uh,
today? I don't know, Tarik, anybody in particular that,
Oh,
comes to
yeah.
mind?
There's like on my hand, there wasn't that many growing up. Like my tastes are sort of eccentric growing up. Like in terms of identifying artistically, my favorite artist is H.R. Giger.
Mhm.
Um, and he was always misunderstood for a
Oops,
long
sorry.
period of time. And he is like basically the creator of the look for Aliens, of the Alien franchise.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
biomechanical. Like this is an exoskeleton neck brace I made, and so exoskeleton biomechanical is like the sort of the heartbeat of a lot of my fashion. And then, I say half of the other fashion is more aesthetic with the softness, and this is like the harder edge to it.
Yeah.
But so H.I. Giger artistically, um, and then Gandhi, because Gandhi's selfishness.
oh wow.
He just like released. Uh, he just released any like agenda off of himself. Like he just let it go. He just surrendered to the process of being a pacifist. And I'm not completely that way because I'm into martial arts, um, but uh, but I don't resort to violence. It's like the last resort. I'm always about like being a positive person first.
Yeah.
So Gandhi was a
Hmm.
big representation that for me. Um, and but but other in terms of in America, because both of these people were from different countries, but in terms of
Yeah.
America, uh, there wasn't too many influences other than I guess like actors, like Christopher Walken, because he's so
Hmm.
weird. Mr. Walken, hello, I'm Cookie. This thing is that's what we do. Yeah, Christopher Walken.
You're a good
I,
impression of him. Oh my gosh.
I love Chris Walken so much because he's so weird and it doesn't matter. Like he can do anything, and he's rewarded for being himself. So that's the inspiring that you don't have to be a certain. You know what I'm saying, Josh? Josh is like, yeah.
No, I
you, you don't have to be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
certain way. You can just be yourself, and I think so long as you're true to yourself, then
Yeah,
you can be
very true.
awesome. So him and Tim Burton, director Tim
Oh
Burton.
yeah, I love
So
Tim Burton. Yeah,
those are like some
again.
influences.
Yeah, totally. Josh, what about you? I know some of yours from our one-on-one, but go ahead.
yeah, it's I guess. I mean, when you're growing up in the U.S. in the '90s, as Emily knows, because we're the same age, it was just a very different time period to come out than it
Yeah.
is now. Not that it's easy to come out now, but it's easier to do, I think, in some ways because you have more people who have done it visibly. So, and in the '90s, you didn't have that really. You had Ellen, and then you had Dawson's Creek had a wonderful storyline with Jack, and that was a very influential storyline in my life.
Yeah,
But
good.
um, it's just it's so hard to figure out who you are that you can't really figure out who influences you because you don't know who you are yet because you've never seen anyone like you, and that's I think
Mhm.
that's a big problem. That was not a problem, but a big thing that I experienced growing up. I mean, I don't really think I started to realize who I was and who I would be influenced by until I was in my mid 20s. Even I mean, even going to college, it was still it was and going to college was sort of like figuring out, oh, this is what it was like being in high school for everyone else.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and that's the thing about a lot of people who are gay and came out when who are gay and a little bit older in their 30s and 40s. They talk about how it's you start your life 10 years later than everyone else around you who's not gay because you spend so much of that time a hiding who you are and then b figuring it out at the same time.
Agree.
So it's
Mm.
really complicated because you have to figure out who you are but also pretend to be someone else, and it's a bit of a mess when you're growing up trying to do all that.
Gosh, yeah.
uh,
Think of that.
Yeah.
so I guess I mean I was there's a lot of I was drawn towards a lot of fictional characters. I did a lot of fantasy novels when I was younger. I read a lot of fantasy. I was really into shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I lost myself a lot in these fictional worlds of fantasy and sci-fi, and that sort of helped me to sort of figure out
Wait,
figure it
wait,
out a
hold
little
up,
bit.
hold up. And Buffy, who's your favorite character?
Oh, it depends on the day of the week. Usually it's Willow.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah, it
good
is.
Usually it's
one.
Willow, but sometimes it is also Anya and Cordelia because they're just both so much fun. And that's because especially when Cordelia goes to Angel, and Cordelia has Cordelia probably has the best character growth out of any character in the Whedonverse. To nerd out a little bit, just because she goes from really spoiled rich girl to sacrificing herself most of the time for the best of humanity. But I mean, I
Interesting.
love Giles. I love everyone. I mean, it's really a show that I, uh, I know that people consider the creator of the show to be controversial these days, but I still watch that show on a regular basis, and I still
Yeah.
am moved by it and everything. And I still try to introduce people to it, and I would say that that show has influenced a lot of my ideas and creativity and everything.
Yeah, I
Uh,
definitely see it like in Demon Doctors. I'll show that again. This I can definitely see it in this show for sure.
Demon Doctor is heavily influenced by '90s genre shows like Charmed and
Yeah,
Buffy and Angel and all those great things on the CW, which I think was
definitely,
WB at the time. But anyway,
totally. Um, Hasitha, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
About you.
So I actually was in US as a child. I was in the USA. So like my mom was my main inspiration, and she introduced me to Nick Fujik. Do you guys know him?
Nick Pucci?
He's Nick Vujicic.
No, wait,
He
let me.
has no limbs, no arms, no legs.
Oh yes,
Oh
yes, I know
Like,
wow.
exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about. Yes,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yes.
yeah. So my mom introduced me to him. Like from as a child. From
I'm gonna
then
put a
on,
link to him.
she would continuously motivate me, show me that there are people like me, and I think
That's a good
we
mom.
need more of disability representation, knowing that there are other people with us. Then I think that helps, and he's my number one. Like from childhood, he was my number one person, go-to person, and my mom. She always gave me a positive spin, and she always gave me this positivity in my life. So yeah,
Oh, it's awesome. I'm gonna just
That's
put
beautiful.
his link. I just want to copy the address and put it in the comments because I don't know if I think if everybody sees, oh yeah, yeah, like they'll remember who he is.
like
I'm gonna put
all
it
the
in.
motivational speakers, that speeches that he gives and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I forgot about him. Gosh, yes, he's amazing. He really has great, like,
really.
great speeches and everything. Like every time I feel like, oh, I can't, I watch this stuff and I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, I need to stop. I need to stop
But
being a
seriously,
wind
as a
up.
child, we didn't have like any representation or anything. Like I used to feel alone and stuff. So like looking at him, like I used to get that motivation that I needed.
Yeah,
So it was nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad you
I gotta
mentioned
say
that.
that's so true in terms of representation. Hasith, it's like looking back now when you're a kid and looking, as an adult, it's almost like, I mean, you still enjoy what you enjoy, of course, because you had that good moment as a kid, but then you think about the fact that you weren't represented, and it has like a double meaning to a lot of shows and TV
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's
And
really
it's so great that there's such a push for that representation in entertainment now. Um,
Yes.
Some people have a feeling that it's done for pure monetary reasons, but regardless of why it's done, it's being done, and that's what's important. I think is that it's
Yeah.
if producers are doing it because they want to make money, I don't care as long as they're doing it, because that's a way
yeah.
to get people on screen or on out there who are who are authentic and give people a chance to be seen and heard, that see themselves and see themselves out there, and that's really, I think, a wonderful trait that's happened in the past few years.
Yeah, totally.
I
And
want.
uh, recently also I've seen like in Target there was like a kid in a wheelchair who was modeling for
Oh
one of the
yeah,
pieces in Target. So I
Wow.
was like, wow, if I had that when I was a child, then
They
that
even
yeah.
did
would
that on
be
Project
nice.
Runway this last season. Project
Oh,
Runway,
cool.
one of the designers wanted to. They did a whole episode about designing for people who were part of the Special Olympics,
Oh wow.
and they were so one person was in a wheelchair, one person was had prosthetic limbs, and so there's a whole episode about that. And then
That's
one
great.
of the finalists decided that one of her final looks, she wanted to make sure it was somebody in a wheelchair because she wanted to show that she could design beautiful garments for people who were in wheelchairs, and that was
Oh, wow.
Wow.
really. I'd never seen anything like that before, and that was this last season of Project Runway. So
Oh, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
representation is so important. Like I was mentioning, Emily, like that Barbie that was in a wheelchair, and see
Yeah,
that
I'm
you were
gonna show
saying,
the.
like,
I'll show the
can you show
picture.
the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, see the Barbie's in a wheelchair, and like growing up, people didn't have that option. Like it was like Barbie was just one way only. Now it's like different versions of Barbie. I just saw this out like 2 days ago. I was like, whoa, I didn't
Yeah.
know that's even existing. It's like I definitely wish it was promoted more, but I'm glad at least it exists.
They have it.
Yeah.
That's really
Exactly.
cool.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
One other thing I want to talk about too is this T-shirt I'm wearing. I'm
Oh
trying
yeah,
to show
yeah.
you a shirt. Okay,
Let me
so
put the
this is
banner for it.
a fundraiser for a local uh, like musician band, the Hates. They're a punk rock band, and
This
the
is how
lead
to support
singer
him.
is Christian Kid. That's Christian right there.
That's
Yeah, the
really dope.
Hates. Yeah, it's a cool shirt,
Wow.
and that was only like $25 something like that, and he's like a good representation too because he's a mixed heritage. He's Native American and African, like just really like amazing, punk rock. And like growing up, like I love punk rock music and gothic and industrial and metal. I didn't see a lot of punk rockers or metal people or anything that were of other than or white.
Yeah.
That was just it. So it was cool
Yep.
to see other musicians out there that are just like real prominent, different cultures, different races. And one of the reasons that the fundraiser is happening, I think there might be a link somewhere
Yeah. I put it on
in
the
the
bottom.
description. Thank you so much. If you can go to his page, basically, the long story short, he survived cancer,
Yeah.
and that was like a
Wow.
huge physical ordeal for him and financially too. So that depletes your financial resources, and then
Totally.
and his wife had a lot of physical medical issues shortly after, and so they're both trying to get back to normal for themselves. And so if anyone could buy a T-shirt, it's a cool T-shirt for a cool singer for a good cause. I mean, it's like three for three. You know, so if you can
Yeah.
just go to his, I don't think there's like actual website though. You just go to his page, and
Yeah, I
then
put
just
the
write
link
him,
for it.
and then that's what I did. I was like, hey, I like a T-shirt. It's like, what's my T-shirt, Christian? You know,
Yeah.
and then he just gets your address, and I sent the money to him through PayPal, and it was like 2 3 days later I had the T-shirt, and you know, so if you can do that, guys, that'd be awesome. The Hates are a great band, and they have good energy, and he's been performing for decades, and you know, he's just really like true to the heart, an artist. And so in Montrose, I grew up in Montrose a lot of times in Houston, and that's like the mecca of in Houston of like if you're an artist, if you're gay, if you're punk rock, or if you're gothic, you know, if you're anything that's like different and artistic and you know just expressive, that's the place to go. And Christian is in his scooter with his red mohawk going down the street
Oh, that's cool.
like every day, you know. And so he's a cool
Amazing.
dude, man. So okay,
That's really cool.
just want to
Oh,
say
that's
that.
good. That's awesome. Yeah, we try to. I have to get more like as this, guys. Also, I want to mention if you can subscribe to the YouTube channel because I have to get to 1,000 subscribers to have these videos monetized. Once they're monetized, I can have the funding go to different charities. So each episode, I'd like to have the money when people watch go to a specific charity, to different charities each time. So I can't do that until that. And I know not everybody has money to donate, which is why monetization would be awesome because all you have to do is just watch it and then money goes to the charity, which is amazing. So if you can share it, subscribe. I know everybody always says subscribe and like, but it will help, especially something like this. I'm not making anything from this. I'm doing this to help people. Anything I do get is to go back into this, like software and stuff like that. So do like it and share it because we do need the subscribers. But anyways, moving forward. So with current events and stuff, have any of you guys been doing any projects or anything influenced by what's been going on in the world, from quarantine to Black Lives Matter to Pride, everything like that? And I was going to kind of start off with Josh because I know that you did that special quarantine episode on
Sure.
Talkin, which was amazing.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Well, thank you. I think it was amazing too. So no, yeah. I mean, the quarantine hit, and it was frustrating for everyone, not just me. But it was very, very frustrating for the world that this sort of thing happened. I think frustrating is the best word we'll go with. But it was. I mean, we were literally weeks, maybe 2 weeks away from starting filming on season 2 of Demon Doctor, and we had to stop that because obviously we couldn't do that while there was a quarantine. And being in New York City, if you don't know, New York City was the worst place to be basically for the first 3 months of the quarantine of the pandemic. Thankfully, we seem to be on the mend, but I'm not gonna jinx that or anything by
Fingers crossed.
dwelling on that. So it was. I'm one of those people that's like, well, I don't like to just not do anything because I don't want to. I want to do something. I like to use my time as much as possible because it's. I was like that in college too. I mean, I took 28 credits a semester because I was like, I need to do as much as I can with my time and use it. And I was a double major, double minor, so I'm always about using my time as much as possible. And so I thought, you know what? Let's try something simple first. We'll do a simple quarantine episode of Skeleton Crew, and we'll see if I can get people to do that. So I wrote a script of about. Usually, Skeleton Crew episodes are about 40 to 50 minutes long. So I wrote a nice small 12-minute script, and I sent it out to some of the actors. They were really excited to do it. They sent in their videos over 2 weeks. I put it all together, and then we put together what I think is a really sweet and wholesome quarantine episode of the show, and it's all done from everybody at their home.
That's a clip from it. If anybody wants to see it.
It's this is the.
That's awesome.
I tried very hard. It was interesting because this was very difficult to do. Most of the clips is people talking, and then we cut to the next person. But I was like, we should have one clip where at least moment where everyone is on screen at the same time. But that's really hard to do in Adobe Premiere for
Yeah, I was
somebody
gonna say, like,
who's not
yeah.
an expert editor as I am not. So I was like, this is a really interesting and time consuming thing. It was good. I learned a lot of things technically from doing that too, because I wanted to make a really polished and interesting episode for people, and it's just people really responded to it. I got a lot of responses from our viewers just talking about how they really appreciated seeing the show, hearing from us and everything. Because also the quarantine delayed season 5 as well. Our season 5 is almost ready to go, but we had to stop any of the last minute shots we were going to do as well.
Yeah.
So this was a way to sort of give people a bit of a hint, and so from there we decided, you know what, let's do a weekly show. So what we do is a weekly live stream. Every Monday night, and it's the Sidekick Power Hour, where we talk about all things happening in the Sidekick production universe, and we rewatch Skeleton Crew from the beginning to count down to the release of season 5. And we just bring in guests every week. We have special guests from the show, special guests who are creators. Our very first episode was sort of like a launch party kind of thing for the idea, and we promoted Black Lives Matter during that. We had many different charities that people could. We promoted many charities that people could donate to if they wanted to, mostly specifically related to LGBT and Black Lives Matter in conjunction, because that's, I think, an area that I really wanted to promote, because I think that
Thank you.
it's an area that needed to be promoted, especially trans Black lives, because I think that that's something that's really that's an area that people are finding is very difficult this year. A lot of trans people of color have been killed, and a lot of trans people of color
Yeah.
are suffering in ways that other people are not necessarily aware of. And also, a lot of people of color who are sex workers, we wanted to promote some of that as well, because this is a very challenging time for them. And Skeleton Crew is not just a body positive show; it's also a sex positive show. So it's really important that we round out
That's
all
good.
sorts of
Yeah, it's amazing.
worlds and everything. So that's sort of the two things that we've done in quarantine with Psychic Productions. We have a weekly live stream now, and we do it through YouTube and Facebook, and we did our quarantine episode, and it's been really wonderful. And we've been finding ways to do little things here and there at home safely and from a socially distant safe way to do it. But it's not the same, but it's a new way to do things in this new world that we're currently living in.
Yeah, it's like to be creative. I almost feel like being creative has saved me, you know, like starting this and adapting to changes all the time. It's like as an artist, you kind of really have to move with whatever's happening. And
Yeah.
you did it well with your
Uh,
shows for sure. So I got
Josh, I wanted to ask a question with Josh. Like, do you feel you mentioned like sex positive and perceptions? Do you feel like this is something I feel like? I was wondering
Mhm.
your thoughts about this, but in terms of the world as a whole, and you know, like different parts of Europe and different countries, uh, I think a lot, especially in Europe, I think the perception of sexuality, there's still it's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means, but I think in terms of America. I think America, we have a very linear perspective of that, and it's just like we're trying to catch up to the rest of the world. I feel on how sexuality is depicted on cinema, and because you look at what's what's really popular on TV becomes popular to society, and so just how like we
yeah,
didn't how Hasitha, we didn't say. Growing up, we saw like no representation at all, and if it was, it
Yeah.
wasn't the right representation. It's not just till now. It's just till now that we're seeing better representation, and still not to the level that we need it to be. And I think that's it's
Yeah.
parallel to how sexuality is depicted in America as well. You know, what do you think about that, Josh?
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I think that representation of LGBT voices on television is probably the best it's ever been at this point. But a lot of ways, there's still those voices are still treated in not asexual, because that's a different thing, a non-sexual manner. I mean,
Right.
if you watch Modern Family, for example, that's a really great example of a show which has two gay uh, partners in a relationship with a child, among another group of family who's all heteronormative. But if you watch the way that those two characters are written and staged, they are you never see them in bed together in a romantic fashion.
Oh,
I don't even know if you ever even see them in bed together. I'd have to watch back and see that.
Yeah.
You either see one in bed or the other in bed. Whereas with the other two couples, the standard middle aged couple, you're always seeing them in bed together, kissing, half naked, in
exactly.
romantic relationships. The other
Exactly.
couple, the older man and the younger woman, you always see them in very sexual relationships as well. You never
Yeah.
see that with Cam and Mitchell, the gay couple, and even when you do see them kiss, it's really a sort of a kind of like a quick peck kind of thing.
Yeah, like a
It's never
background
one of
thing
those
too.
romantic kisses. I know that just from my show itself, Skeleton Crew, it's a very hard show to market. It's People don't really I think some people are turned off because it embraces the sexuality of the characters. A, because they're larger people, and you rarely see larger people in sexually
Yeah.
positive situations. Like if you look at Mike and Molly, which is a show all about two larger people who are married, and they are very they have a healthy sexual life based on the show's description of them, but you never see them in sort of that situation. You never see them
Yeah.
like half naked in bed together, like you do with a thin couple, in
Mm,
the same show, even. Or That's one thing that we've got against us because bigger people aren't supposed to be sexy, and then the other one is that gay people are supposed to be funny and fabulous, but not necessarily sexually active either.
Yeah.
I think I
Exactly.
think what I have noticed though, what is cool is that, and I wish it was uh, more broader, like you're saying, like in more mainstream. But in terms of like sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, those three demographics, sexuality for everyone is a lot more accepted, like a lot more
Absolutely.
accepted.
Hmm.
I
In
mean
Sense
That's a
that's a
good
Sense
huge
Eight.
thing.
point.
Like, have you seen Sense Eight?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah. I
yes,
know.
yes,
Hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a good example of that.
That's a great
Yeah,
example
Netflix.
of that.
Uh,
Hmm.
And
Lost
that was
Girl.
that's made by the Wachowskis, right?
I think
Sensei.
so. Yeah,
I think yeah, it
pretty
is
sure.
actually. Yeah, I think it is. You know, and even recently on Netflix, and this is really popular. The Old Guard, which
Hmm.
starring Charlize Theron.
Yep.
There's two characters, two gay couples in that, at least two. You know, and they're kissing and they're very passionate and emotional about each other, and so that was very elevated in that movie, and it is a widely respected movie, and I thought that was cool. I think the only reason it wasn't in the theaters because of the pandemic, because of
Yeah.
COVID. But
But that's
going
the
to
thing about sci-fi and fantasy, though. I think sci-fi and fantasy are and horror are the things that push the envelope in ways that comedy and drama don't. So that's why I
yeah,
gravitated for them a lot as a kid. Um,
yeah, I
Yeah.
completely understand that. I completely understand that.
I found the Project Run Rate thing, so I just was going to add that in the group. So, Hasitha, was there any project you've been working on or inspired to work on in response to anything going on? I know you mentioned that you started doing your channel and stuff more when quarantine started. Like, how has that been? Like, how does that feel to have that shift?
uh, Actually, apart from my channel, I started not like inspired by quarantine or COVID or anything, but like because of all this free time that we have, like I want to be as productive as I can. So, I I found someone and we're doing a book together, kind of thing. It's a
Oh,
book.
cool.
So it basically, shows the importance that for inclusion or for any change we need, we have to start the change with all generations. You get me? Like
Yeah,
even the smaller, like the whole society has to bring about that change for us to even have a change. So that's what the book is about, kind of. So I started working on that. I
that's
haven't
awesome.
really announced it anywhere. So
Oh, and you do.
Is this
Let
the
me
uh,
first
know when
place
it
you
comes out.
announced it? Is this the first time you
yeah,
announced it? Oh
That's awesome.
wow,
yeah.
we're
That's
honored. Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah. That's really cool. I gotta include that on the website and stuff too, and everywhere. Let me know because I'll put like a whole thing about it, and we'll do one on one
Sorry about
also
that.
about your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to take cough drops. Sorry about that.
Oh, all right. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to shift a second. So Tarik and I have an episode where we talk about Black Lives Matter, and I'm going to post an image of it for a second for everybody. Actually got quite a lot of views, which is awesome. And we dive into a lot of stuff, and me, obviously being a white girl and not Black, I wanted to have a welcoming, like, open conversation about Black Lives Matter and stuff, because I know a lot of people, I know a lot of friends of mine and stuff that aren't Black and stuff feel like, oh, I don't want to talk about it or whatever. You know, people get weird and uncomfortable and they don't know how to say it. But we did a really great, and I encourage everybody to go check it out because it was a really great discussion that Tarik and I did, and he led the discussion, really informed me about a lot of stuff. He shared his experiences and everything. It's really, really cool. And due to recent events with Congressman John Lewis, I'm not sure if everybody is aware of who he is. If not, definitely Google John Lewis. But he was a mantle in the civil rights movement. And he said in his last essay that he was inspired in his last days by social justice reform and activism that has swept the country in the aftermath of police killings of Black Americans and all the stuff going on in general in the United States and in the world. So I wanted to just say that John Lewis said how our generation inspired him even during his last hours and days. In my opinion, this is an extremely powerful, beautiful message. And I feel that as influencers, artists, and advocates, we can all work together to, as John Lewis said, quote, make the next chapter of the great American story when you use your power to make a difference in our society. So I wanted to quote a few parts from his essay and then have us all think about how we can help make true positive change and a powerful positive difference in our society. So I'm going to read the two quotes, and then I'm just going to quickly show the whole essay. If anybody wants to pause this later and read it, it's there, so you don't have to go look for it. So the two quotes I was going to read from it was, each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a nation and world society at peace with itself. And then I'll continue with the final portion around the end of his essay, which said, though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe in. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. So that's pretty powerful stuff. I'm going to just show for a second the essay. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, that's page 1. This is page 2, 3, and 4. And I realize I have the banner. I am so sorry. I will get rid of that. So, and you can find that on the website and stuff too. I think I have a banner for it as well. I'm going to just put it in. Yes, here I do, right here. So my question is, I guess if any of you guys would like to share your thoughts about any portion of John Lewis's essay that I shared or any part of it, and how you feel a generation can help support equal rights and help continue to move society forward towards equality. Like Tarik, if I know you've done a lot of advocacy and stuff, and from our discussion, if you want to kind of talk about anything that inspired you from John Lewis or in general.
Definitely. Well, actually, I've been following him for some years now, and it broke my heart when I found out his passing. But yeah, he marched for the Martin Luther King. He's been there since the beginning of the major civil rights movements here in America. And his candor, his whole persona has always been very elegant and very thoughtful, which is such a rarity, you know. But yes, but the timing, that's interesting. The timing of right before he passes is when he sees a lot of this talk of reform happening.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason that one that's possible is just that, well, I think there has been some good things in America in terms of the past, 20 years of evolution. But, of course, we have a lot of work to still do. But social media has really, comes back to social media, because most people don't watch TV. Most people well, some people do listen to the radio and definitely podcasts, like podcast, radio, and then like streaming shows, TV shows like Josh's show and stuff like I do and we all do. Like online is where it's at. And so the
Hmm.
second that
Yeah.
that there's a travesty to someone's rights on discrimination, whether they're of different ethnicity, sexuality, or whatever it is, that person that normally feels small and invisible can take their voice and pierce through that sort of barrier with social media and get like-minded people together, and it has this momentum. And so I think reform is possible because of social media, because of the marches, because of people speaking up about certain things. And I think when you go back into positive terminology, and like in Emily, you're talking about like what words can we all brainstorm different words to use, like as a culture, as a supportive cultures that holds up people that are positive and trying to create good change and help each other up. Like this panel is a good representation of people of different backgrounds. That a common denominator is that we all have our own experiences, and we see something wrong in the world. And we want to speak for ourselves and help others have a platform to speak for
Yeah.
themselves as well.
Yeah.
So I vote for the term to be was it supportive culture? I think Emily, you had like a big part
I
of
had
that.
like supportive society or constructive culture or supportive culture. Yeah, like all that kind of positive influencers. Yeah, any of those.
Because then someone can say, Emily, you're a supportive, like, so it sounds good. I don't know.
Yeah, that does. I'm gonna put hashtag supportive.
And it's a very clear thing, but I think we all have my different. Does anyone have any other ideas of what words to say for that name like that? A culture that's basically supportive to positive
culture,
things.
Yeah, I
Huh?
just put those.
peaceful culture, supportive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think supportive society is nice. I like supportive culture. Yeah,
yeah,
Supportive society. I like it.
I like the alliteration. Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie.
I like that one. Yeah, because
SS.
I realized with the whole like cancel culture and everything going on, we won't really get into that. But everybody focusing, so that's kind of inspired this too, is that everybody was focusing on like, not that we shouldn't talk about people that have done not nice stuff, but I was like, we should shift to people doing good things like us and other people doing good stuff, because if we focus more on like what is good, we don't get so bogged down in like the negative, which you should acknowledge it's bad.
Right.
But I feel like we got to really focus on like what can we do to help? What can we do that's positive? What can we, like the heck with that? Like those people are poop, like whatever. And we'll go into like the good stuff.
Just the philosophy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hasitha?
You go ahead.
Saying some Hasitha?
No, I was agreeing with Emily that we have to focus on all the positive, and we have to acknowledge that there's negative things going on, but then we have to, channel our energy into positivity and, encourage all the positive people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's sort of like I'm a big historian in different cultures. I love just how like flavorful food can be. Flavor. The more that's like the philosophy of everything. The more in DNA, the more options you have in DNA, the better the offspring can be. So the two parents or the two DNA origins have like a more contrasting DNA. The children will have a better chance of survival or something like that. And just like in food, the more like ingredients you have, the more dietary supplements you have, the more healthier your body will be. Soul, mind, everything. Or variety is the spice of life. Being diverse is important. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that like I look at different common denominators in different cultures. Like for Shiva, for example, Shiva to me always spoke really well to me because destruction and creation, that's like the nucleus of life. So like council culture has necessary destructive moments where like someone is doing something really bad. It has to be spoken about, and it have to be repercussions. If someone crosses the line way too far, they have to be dealt with in a way that's like diplomatic, of course, but that's necessary. But on the creative side of it, of the creation, there's got to be something that's purely positive that also to complement that, because it can't have just one. It's got to be both. It's got to have a balance. It's all about balance. So I think in terms of a positive mindset and positive thinking about positivity, and why we talk about it so much is that even though it's supposed to be balanced, for some reason it seems to be harder to balance it time-wise. Like you can take a forest that took centuries to build, that's creation. It's pure creation, pure positivity, and it would take like minutes for it to burn down. Because destruction takes less energy for some reason. So we need more people to be positive to balance that out. So the more people there are, the more positivity that can happen, the more sustainable that is. So if we can keep it going, as momentum with reform, with social media for different people, I think that it becomes something that's almost automatic. If you make it automatic, where it's hard, it's you don't have to think about it. It's like something that's just like it's understood, like Kellogg's cornflakes. It's a staple of a cereal. It should be a supportive society or supportive culture is a staple of a mindset. Like, Americans are supportive. That'd be so nice for America to be associated with that type of positive mindset, which right now we're not. It haven't been for a long time. So if we can reroute the American perspective and then to the world, Americans, I'm proud to be American. I want to say that, but we have a lot of work to do. That's all I'm saying.
And hopefully, like art and advocacy and stuff like we all do, that we can help get this to be a common thing and not just like a, occasional thing. So like if it, like how cancel culture became this big thing, it's like, well, let's be supportive. People making videos on YouTube about, hey, this person did this amazing thing. Check it out. Like, it's more like, ooh, gossip and stuff, when it's something negative. And I feel like people kind of feed off of that. Like, ooh, I know this secret, or I know that. And it's like, whatever. Like, let's acknowledge that they did something terrible and they suck. And like, let's focus on awesome people and promote awesome people, because by just promoting awesome people, the people that are doing negative stuff are going to start to disappear. Like that.
I wish has anybody seen that interview with David Bowie? David Bowie had his interview. It was like, oh, man, I wish I had the link. I just not thought of it. I wish I had it earlier. But David Bowie was talking about Motown and how he elevates a lot of, like, in the UK at the time when he was alive. He had a recording studio, and he had like a lot of artists, and a lot of them were of African descent, of different cultures. And he goes, he was talking to an interviewer who was from America, and I think it was like someone that represents actually, like I can't remember the name of the label, but it was a very prominent American label in the 80s, in the 80s to 90s or something.
Oh, 80s.
And he goes, David Bowie goes like, so why don't you have a lot of more, singers and musicians that are African American and this and that. And he goes, well, there are a lot of great, and the other guy was like, oh, a lot of great music out there, and we really do appreciate it. We try to put the money into investing into artists where we know the money will return, and to the listeners. And he goes, so you're trying to tell me, so you feel your listeners will only listen to one thing and they won't accept them? Is that what you're trying to say? And so because of that, you don't give them any time? He goes, no, it's not trying to say. He goes, I think you are saying it. So David Bowie caught him saying it. David Bowie caught him saying it. And so so that's the thing. It's like it's just crazy because it's still happening, or if it is rewarded, it's like it's more like one way. Like I think it's more common for if you're Black, African American, to be a rapper and an R&B singer. It's like, oh yeah, that's normal. And then like me, I'm working on a song. I mentioned I'm working on a song.
That's right. Sorry, yeah.
And I'm like, it's a hybrid of like kind of EBM, gothic, and a slight taste of R&B in there, but it's mostly like EBM, dance, house kind of gothic sound to it, and so that's not as accepted, as much, So I'm interested in see how well I can take that song. I'll put it on iTunes or Spotify or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it. We can
Maybe
do a
using
talk with
social
Tarik about
media.
it too. Yeah.
So social media might give a chance. I guess all I'm saying is that what was I saying? Social media might get a chance for a lot of travesties to be exposed. You know, so
Yeah.
if and so just how
Let's
David
focus on the
Bowie is like
positive.
David Bowie talked about the positive a lot. A lot of people don't realize that like he was amazing, not just how he looked, how he sounded, but who he was. You know, David Bowie is what freaking amazing. You know,
Yeah.
but
My cat's
everything he
named
stood
David. My
for,
cat's named Bowie.
right?
Yeah. Cat. Yeah. But
But
no. Yeah.
basically,
That's a good point.
it's all about positivity and giving an opportunity for others that maybe not even the same as you, but they deserve the rights like the rights as you. You know, they deserve to be equals, and we all deserve to be elevated, especially if you're doing positive things. You know, I think it's a human
Yeah.
right to be treated with respect. It's as a baseline, it's a human right to be treated with respect. But I think to go beyond that, for those that are going beyond and not just being a person, they're being supportive to others, they should be elevated. Because there's a lot of people that have the soul or part of Gandhi in them, a part of Martin Luther King in them. You know, like there's so many people that have this beautiful spirits that maybe aren't rich and famous, but you know, and maybe they help like 20 or 50 people, but the 20 or 50 people they'll have families that are on that will keep spreading to
Right.
tens
Yeah.
of
Like
thousands to millions of people.
exactly.
People can't just look in the short term. So I'm saying, like, you gotta look in the long term. The more positive change you do now, it's the ripple effect cascades throughout. Oh yeah, watch the Ogard. They talked about that, the Ogard on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's also a show called United Shades of America, and the guy, it's on. I can't remember. I think it's on CNN or something, but you can look it up. It's United Shades of America, and the guy goes around and he goes and visits people in the KKK. He goes and visits people in different, very intense negative, beliefs and stuff, and talks with them. And there's some people he met in the most recent episode, like 2 Sundays ago. I think I shared it on my page. And he goes and talks about with this group of people. There's some people that are black, some people that are in the KKK, and all this. They're not anymore. But one of the guys that was really involved with the KKK said he was raised by a black woman, a nanny in the South, and she knew that he was in the KKK and stuff. And he said he was so glad that he came to terms, and realized what the heck he was doing, that he was able to see her at the end of his life and, reconnect with her and realize that what he did was really horrible. So it's a great show in that I like how he shows all the angles, and then like how people come to realize what they're doing or how they help. But he kind of doesn't really focus too much on the negative. He focuses on how we can help, which is why I really like that show. So I'm hoping that more artists and producers and stuff like what Josh is doing, and what Hasitha's doing, and Tarik and I, like that more and more people will start to focus on doing positive things and being an example. And that was with John Lewis too, is that he was an example of what you should do and what you can do without being aggressive and stuff. Like he just was this example of positivity and helping people, which is amazing. And I hope that more people are inspired by him, and that we become more of a supportive society, which would be amazing. I know it's about 1:30 for us. It's about 11 for Hasitha, so I want to try to wrap it up a little bit. I did realize I forgot to put in the beginning the disclaimer, so I'm just going to pop that up for 2 seconds here, guys, just in case. Here we go. So nobody sues us. Here we go. All right. Anyways, so if anybody have anything they wanted to say,
Well, actually, I want to ask Josh something. Like, you
yeah.
inspired this question to me, Josh. Like, when you talk about Cordelia on, well, I guess technically Buffy and Angel, because she was on both shows, and you said something I thought about too, because she is one of my favorite characters. And at first she wasn't, but she grew on me, and she became one of my top favorite. And it's because she's, like you say, she grew as a person. She was this really selfish person that became selfless later, and very inspiring. But do you think that sort of like paradigm, how she shifted that paradigm, you think that should be something that is sort of an example about some people in the world, but in particular in America, that need to grow, but they have the potential to grow. You think that just like Cordelia did, can they grow because they're surrounding themselves with others or are more enlightened in terms of philosophy and understanding? Like it's because sometimes people are in disadvantage where they're become a product of their environment, where the people in their environment are completely one way of thinking, and they're not exposed to a lot of people, and because of that, that disadvantage, sort of like this sort of like how you say, it hinders their growth rate. You know, because the human lifespan, they might live to like 70 or 80 or 90, whatever. And if they're around positive people, they can excel within like, 15, 20 years and catch up. If they're around people that are really limited in thinking, they might be 80 or 90 and still never really grow. So what do you think about, is there some way around that? Like maybe through social media as a nucleus to get to people that are harder to reach?
I think so. I think Cordelia. To go with the show for a second, I think Cordelia changed a great deal because of who she was finding herself surrounded by, but also because she learned firsthand and she had the knowledge. She got educated basically. Um, I think that that's something that we don't have enough of, and I think that social media and a more diverse representation throughout entertainment in general is what is needed because I grew up in a town of 500 people, and pretty much, I would say probably 99% of the people there were white and and a Christian, and it's a very homogenous society, so they don't
Mm.
have they're never challenged by anything. They're never everyone up there. A lot of people pretty much have the same viewpoints, and it's well, I think that, and my mother thought that, and my sister thinks that, and my father thinks that, and everybody,
Yeah.
my neighbor thinks that. Everyone thinks that way.
Yeah.
And so when I'm different, and I don't know if I'm different because I was born different and because I was gay or because I got exposed to shows like Buffy and things that and horror and sci-fi and fantasy were my areas that tended to push me to be more educated in diversity basically. And I think that yes, Cordelia. Um, fun fact, she did audition for the role of Buffy, but they cast Sarah
Oh
Michelle
wow.
Gellar with her. Um,
Oh wow, I didn't know
but
that.
I think very much that people can't change if they don't know there's another way, and that's the problem
Right.
with
That's a really
the
good point.
society.
I like
That's
that.
the
Right.
problem
Yeah,
with the society that's homogenous.
I like that.
So when you look at towns and cities and things which are built around people who are all basically the same. You can't expect that society to be different. Individuals, yes, but you can't expect it to be different for everyone. Um, and I mean, there are people that I grew up with that I know that have some very strange and very difficult and very for me painful ideas of how life is, and they're not they're not going to change because they're set in their ways. But then you also see these random things like you see um who is it you see Dick Cheney, who's oddly supportive for Dick Cheney, oddly supportive of LGBT rights because his daughter is lesbian.
Yeah.
Um,
There you go.
and so he's got that experience. Therefore, his life is slightly different than what it was maybe before his daughter came out.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
so I mean I
Great
mean I
point.
mean some people just need that in their face, where it's like
Yeah.
this is happening to you now, so now you feel different.
Hmm.
I mean, look at not to get political, but look at the mask debate with
Yeah.
because I don't know about in India, Hasitha, but in the U.S., wearing a mask is a debate right now.
Hmm.
And I mean, just look at the people who are wearing a mask versus not, and why some people start wearing a mask, and how things. It's because some
Yeah.
people are just that is happening. The COVID-19 has become a reality for them because it hit
Yeah.
their family or hit themselves or something. And
Yeah.
It's
True.
true.
so, as much as I wish people could change just through um like
COVID,
a, something,
pandemic.
anything. I just think it's I think that you need that education, and I think you're right though. A positive portrayal in media is really really valuable and important.
Yeah.
And positive portrayal in social media is really powerful and important. So
Yeah,
Uh,
extremely important.
just so one quick thing I was going to say, like just to compliment what you're saying, Josh. When we talk about media, I remember there was an interviewer. He was in Korea, and he was asking people that are indigenous to the area. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about Marvel and their movies?" And it was about Black Panther, you know. And I was like, "Okay,
Oh, right.
that's interesting," you know. It's like I really had no idea their perspectives, and they were talking about how the Korean they spoke in the movie is actually pretty good because they actually spoke Korean like, a few times in the movie. And then a part where it talks about because there's like two. There's actually a bunch of people in there that are leading, but the female character that was that she now stars in Us, you know, Jordan Peele's Us.
mm,
She was a
Yeah, yeah,
Black
yeah.
Panther, and she spoke Korean in the movie, and they're like, wow, you know, she's really pretty, you know, and they were like surprised, and she's like
What?
very dark skinned. She's African. She's very dark skinned, but so, but the positive that I was appreciative that they could see that she is pretty, you know, that she's beautiful and she's a completely different look than them, and a different background than them, you know, dark skin, you know, different hair, different accent, everything, you know,
Yeah,
and different culture, and she's pretty, you know, and they
yeah,
accept that because how they see people of African. She's actually from Africa, but of African descent, sometimes isn't seen that way, you know, because it's not shown to them that way, you know.
right.
And he goes like, how do you do? And if he goes, how do you normally see actors in movies that are you know African American descent or whatever? And he goes, sometimes I see them and they're playing gangsters and they're you know playing tough people, stuff like that. It's kind of scary, you know. And I was like, yep, it's all about what they
I'm
see. They're
sorry,
in
guys.
a very sheltered. The whole entire country the entire country can't doesn't have that access. Just like Josh said, you know, how can they act any different if they don't know any different? You know, so they have to have the access to that. So I'm glad Black Panther was made because that was
Yeah.
like a beautiful example of positivity. You know, but okay, that's how I say that. Real quick.
No, it's okay. That's all right. Hasitha, I'm sorry. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Ani?
Uh,
Anything we discussed?
how Tarik mentioned about the Black Lives Matter thing. In India, we
Yeah.
also kind of had a debate kind of thing. Basically, in India, they endorse a certain kind of cream to make yourself fair.
Oh
So the
gosh.
company's name
Yeah.
is Fair and Lovely. So that's what they
I've
endorse.
seen that.
It's
Oh.
like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
you've seen it? Oh, you've
Damn.
seen it?
I've seen it.
Yeah,
Oh
so
damn.
after the Black Lives Movement, they were like debating about how Fair and Lovely shouldn't even exist, but then the company like changed the name to like Glow and Lovely, something which
What?
you know
Oh my God.
it's it doesn't make sense, and like people are still debating about it, like the cream shouldn't even exist kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
It was
like,
Oh, it's ridiculous. It goes back to slavery when, if you were pale
It
like
does.
Casper, like me,
mm,
you were rich and, better than people that were working out in the fields getting a tan because they're out in the sun. It's like, what the hell? I can't. But yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, like that's a thing. In Korea too, isn't it? Like that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
in a lot of countries, it that are not of like Caucasian descent, that there is a stigma that if you're darker, then it's like worse than being like lighter,
yeah,
or I mean, light if you're lighter,
yeah.
then it's worse than being darker, So,
Yeah.
or whatever, but
Yeah.
basically like you said in India,
You
like you
like
said
Indians
in
won't be as
India,
fair. Like Indians won't be as fair as white people, but then like they're better than the darker Indians. You get me? Like people who are fairer are better than the darker ones.
In like
yeah,
Is
they
that
media
they
and
what?
get
stuff, are
teased,
they
they get
more?
teased for being darker,
Yeah,
they
Yeah.
get
I was gonna
teased for being
yeah,
say,
darker,
yeah.
huh?
yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say in media and stuff, like in India, like on popular shows and stuff, are the actresses and stuff, are they more fair than like darker?
Yeah,
Like,
all of them are fair. Even the
All of
dark
them,
ones.
all
wow,
of them.
Even the dark ones, they like put some makeup and become
wow.
fair.
I was watching some
So
movie because I did watch some Indian movies, and I was like, why do the people in this movie look so pale? It was like freaking me out, because I've seen them in other movies. No, I've seen them in other
Are you
movies,
sick?
and like,
What's happening?
no, because I've seen them in the movies, and they're like 3 or 4 shades darker normally.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, it was like a bigger budget movie, and like 80% of the cast was like 3 shades lighter than normally are, and it's like with heavy makeup, And I was like, that's not cool, man.
Yeah, that's not
It's like there. I mean, the average any person is pretty dark. It's like on average, so you see like a very
yeah.
small percentage of the culture shown in movies being much lighter than they normally are,
Everybody's
and now they have
associate.
skincare companies skincare making
Mm-hmm.
them
like, yeah,
lighter. That's not cool.
I am
Yeah,
You know?
actually fairer compared to the normal Indian, but then
Yeah.
the average Indian, but then people are darker than me. Like the majority of Indians, they're like dark, but then media depicts it to be something else. So that's not cool.
But you see that in the U.S. too. I mean, you see
Yes, you do.
one of the a politician I won't name just for safety sort of purposes. But I mean, he just got accused in his Senate race of promoting material that depicted his African American opponent as darker than his actual skin color, in a way to sort of he's a Southern politician running for re-election in the Senate,
Mm.
and his opponent is a Democrat who's black, and the material that they promoted. I don't know if it was a print or a video, but what was done was to make his skin color look darker than what it was, as if that's supposed to be, I guess, threatening or danger.
right.
I don't know why why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I think that was done. But I mean, it's done. It's done. It's done here to make someone seem less desirable for the voter, which is
It's a shame. It's horrible.
That's really
yeah.
sad. It's really sad, And so I think, this
I
the
know,
emotions
right? It's
flowing in right
intense.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's so important for there to be the topics people talk about it, but on top of it, for people to be depicted in a more glorified, beautiful way that are real people. Like I did, it's like halfway a shout out to this because I had to talk about it. So like I'm the spokesperson for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Social Blue, and we made a video, and the app is for people primarily if you're disabled. It's a good place to meet others that are disabled, but also people that are fighting like depression and anxiety, things like that. Social distancing, like we all are facing right now, so it's a safer environment. So that's really good for everyone. But in the video, we show that. But one of the part it slows down for a moment in the commercial we made, and one of the people she's dancing, Nubian African American with braids, and she's just flowing. She's dancing, and she looks very like just a normal woman. She's not like glorified. She's not like wearing like tons of makeup to cover who she is. She's very natural, dark skin, thick hair. I mean, like real, real. She's real, and she's shown in a way that's beautiful. Like a couple times in that commercial, and so and we're trying to show that the beauty that is within everyone, and that is really normal. And it's just the fact that society doesn't really show that so much. So I think I'm proud that Beyonce is from Houston. I'm from Houston. I'm in Houston right now. Beyonce doesn't. I'm happy she is Beyonce. She's doing well, but Beyonce doesn't look like the average African American female, you know. And she is really popular, and I just wish there was more uh, better representation.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. I know it's getting late, guys, so I'm gonna close up with if anybody has any questions, we'll take a second for that. Also, Tarik, I didn't show that you were on the top fashion influencers of 2020.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Yeah, that was a
awesome.
huge surprise. I
Mhm.
was surprised.
And you have an article coming out.
They have an article coming out to Voyage magazine. Voyage is
Mhm.
really cool, and someone they wrote an article contacted me, and then I was like, oh, let me check this out, and then I was like, hey, cool, and so I recommended some other people in there.
Like me.
Everybody really, I took everybody in there,
Yeah.
so hopefully some will get a call from them or something, because they're really
Yeah,
cool people.
that'd be
But
amazing.
basically, they try to promote people like we're doing. They try to promote people that some are famous, and some of those people that work very hard,
Mhm.
and they're trying to, and they're global, they're everywhere, and so it's rare to see someone, a company that amazing do that. But yeah, Voyage magazine, I gotta give them props to them, man, because they're putting the work into it
Yeah, they really
to
are.
promote
It's amazing.
positivity. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's cool. So we're gonna wrap it up. I don't see any other comments, but I know a lot of people end up watching this later because like the one that me and Tarik did and stuff, like we have over like 100 views and stuff on it, which is amazing. Please everybody subscribe so that we can get more people to see this. And also, we're gonna do part 2. I'm gonna have you guys back and other artists come on and stuff. Also, look out for Josh's episode. I'm going to promote the heck out of that this coming week. And then I'm going to have other artists coming on. So there's going to be one-on-one series I have of our influential artists. And then there's Talking with Tarik and these like special live streams. So always keep an eye out for them and subscribe and click the little bell so you know that we will be notifying you. And that's it. All right, guys. Anything in closing you want to say? Just want to give everybody a chance to say bye. And thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I
Come on,
just have
Hasitha.
one more thing to
Yeah.
say.
Go ahead.
As much as representation is important, it's very like grateful to have social media because we are getting friends like in India. Like there is no one that meets like other disabled people.
Yeah.
There's like no community or anything. So like I found everyone through social media, and now I found you
Yeah.
three people. So I
Yep.
just feel so happy, like
Awesome.
finding like minded people and all. It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're all in
So
different
thank you.
spots and we can do this. Like, this is amazing. It's so
Yeah.
true. God, thanks so much for doing this, guys.
Did,
I guess
did
that's it.
everybody plug what they're doing right now? Did everybody
Yeah, did
plug what
everybody
they're
plug
doing?
everything? I want to make sure everybody got their
It's
stuff in.
important. It's important.
I
Yeah.
think so. But join us on Monday nights at 8 o'clock
Yes.
Eastern
Oops,
Standard
sorry.
Time for Psychic Power Hour, where we talk all about psychic productions and have some wonderful guests. My co-host is Nakia, who was the
Yeah.
semifinalist from season 1 of The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually he's a wonderful representation
There's a link down
of
there.
a plus size LGBT person in the media, because he was one of the first people I really remembered back in season 1 of The Voice doing that. And then on Tuesday we are promoting having a CD release party of Reverend Yolanda, who is a genderqueer member of Psychic Productions. She's in the Blues Hall of Fame and the LGBT Hall of Fame. So both of those you can find on my Facebook page or my YouTube page. So I hope to see you guys there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to have them on too at some point. I've been trying to catch up with every guest and it takes a while, but they will come on as one-on-ones. And they come on, live stream too. Everything's always exciting here. You never know. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
One quick thing. I'm
No,
sorry. One quick
Yeah, go
thing.
ahead.
The band, the punk band, the
Oh,
Hates.
yeah. I'm gonna put
They're
that
at
banner back
5
up.
p.m. Central on the Facebook page for the Hates. They're playing like a live acoustic session. So check
Oh,
them out.
really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't see my thing on here. I put it before. It's in there, and I'll put it in. It's in the description too, guys. Everybody's links are in there, and then I'm gonna update my website to have everything as well, so that you can just click it and go to the video and everything as well. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon. It's iLLest Entertainers signing off.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.